Good morning, Thailand. My name is Alex, and I have some news updates from around the land of smiles for you today, this Friday, January 17th, TGIF. Now, before we begin, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot. Now, today, we will be talking about a YouTuber's expose of an abandoned zoo once dubbed Hell on Earth for Animals, an egregious account of a Polish man smacking an unwilling bottom, gross, and a little later, India's latest achievement in their space exploration pursuits. But first, we're back here in Thailand as we head over to Pattaya as there is chaos on the beach. Alcohol-fueled brawls raise safety concerns. So, Pattaya Beach, famed for its nightlife, is facing rising alcohol-fueled brawls among tourists, raising concerns for public safety and the city's reputation. Clashes, often near bars and clubs, have led to frequent police interventions and disrupted the peace for locals and visitors. To address the issue, authorities have increased patrols, enforced stricter alcohol regulations, and proposed designated drinking zones. A recent incident involved a Thai man attacking a Swiss tourist during a heated pool game dispute. Officials urge tourists to party hard but respect harder to preserve the city's allure and safety. Yeah, don't know, something in the water down in Pattaya. Actually, it's something in the drinks, I think. But I like that slogan, party hard, but respect harder. You know, keep it in mind. Of course, one of those problems is the more you drink, the less inhibitions you have. And they get thrown to the wind, and all of a sudden, fists are flying. But it is a big issue, man. We've had a lot of violent outbreaks. You know, at the end of the day, most people are okay. Unfortunately, most people just get a slap on the wrist, and also, unfortunately, sometimes people are not okay. We've had some deadly incidents down there as well. So hopefully the authorities can do some policy changes. I'm not exactly sure what the prescription is for this particular ailment, but at the end of the day, Pattaya is a big tourist city, and any of these hits to the reputation are going to affect the bottom line. And obviously, that's something that nobody really wants. Let me know your thoughts, Pattaya people. Are you staying safe down there? I hope so. All right, moving on to our next story. Okay, love makes people do the craziest things, and unfortunately, it can also turn people into very nefarious villains. A British man was arrested for defrauding his wife and forging documents. So a British man, identified as Mr. Quintin, was arrested at Suvarnabhumi Airport for allegedly defrauding his Thai wife and forging documents to sell company assets worth over 20 million baht. As a director of a Pattaya-based company co-owned with his wife, he reportedly used a falsified police report to replace a missing land deed, enabling the secret sale of the company land and shares. The wife discovered the fraud and reported it, prompting a Pattaya court to issue a warrant. Mr. Quintin denies the charges and faces further legal proceedings with the Economic Crime Suppression Division. Unclear, but if he said, she said allegations going on right now. But, you know, this is one of the things at the end of the day, when it comes to ownership of companies, so many foreign people who want to come here and invest end up partnering up with their spouses, their wives, right? Somebody they supposedly can trust. But just because, like, you know, you assume that they'd be a rubber stamp for your decisions doesn't mean that they would be. You still need to get their consent. There's a reason that those laws are in place here in Thailand. So, little unclear. He's denying the allegations, but he was also trying to leave the country, which is not exactly a great look. So we'll see how this plays out in court. But at the end of the day, yeah, communication is key in any relationship, guys, especially if you are business partners with that romantic partner of yours. All right, so our next story, this is a pretty crazy one, and I'm not entirely sure what to make of it, but okay, we have a case of a YouTuber, a British explorer, discovered that an abandoned zoo still had animals in it. So a British explorer and YouTuber, Sean King, uncovered a shocking truth during a visit to Phuket Zoo, abandoned since 2021. While reports claimed its animals had been rescued, King's footage revealed 12 crocodiles, a tiger, and deer still on the premises. The discovery, alongside evidence of feeding, reignited concerns over the zoo's notorious history of alleged animal mistreatment, once dubbed Hell on Earth for Animals by PETA. King's findings, described as heartbreaking, have sparked renewed calls for action to ensure the animals' welfare. Yeah, like, what the, like, that's pretty wild, man, like, that they were just sort of left there to their own devices. Is somebody still taking care of them? Are they just surviving on whatever is still in the zoo? Something's not adding up. So some sort of investigation needs to be happening because obviously when a zoo shuts down, those animals should be accounted for, like moved to other zoos or something, habitats, sanctuaries. I'm no expert, I guess, but at the end of the day, this is strange, and obviously the animals' welfare does not seem to have been taken into consideration. So, yeah. Anyways, I guess we'll see what the consequences of this will all be, but good on you, Sean King, for bringing this discovery to the world. All right, on to our next one. Okay, we've been talking about the pollution here in Bangkok a lot. Apparently some actions are going to be taken. So Smoky buses are going to take a hit in order to combat pollution. Bangkok is intensifying efforts to combat its air pollution crisis, focusing on emissions from public buses. City officials inspected BMTA buses, finding one vehicle exceeding emission standards. Just one, really? While others showed concerning white smoke. Officials aim to lower opacity limits and accelerate the transition to electric buses, promising long-term pollution reduction. The inspections are part of broader measures to address the harmful PM 2.5 levels, signaling a push for cleaner public transport and stricter enforcement to tackle the city's urgent air quality challenges. Come on, just one? I don't believe it. Like, I feel like whenever I take a bike around town, I'm stuck coughing. Like, I look like one of those like cartoons that just smoked an exploding cigar at the end of it, and I like covered in smoke, like I'm from Mad Max or something like that. Yeah, it's clear that is obviously a very easy target for reducing emissions, because they are absolutely out of control. The buses are so far out of date, there's no way that they are passing emissions standards at the rate that they are saying. In my opinion, I'll say allegedly. But yeah, only finding one bus that did not pass is a little suspect in my mind. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Is this going to be enough to combat Bangkok's air pollutions, or what are your solutions? Please let us know in the comments. All right, moving on to our next story. Okay, this is, I don't know how people have the gall to behave this way, but guys, check out this video. This is insane. A Polish tourist has been arrested for a spanking incident in Bangkok. Take a look at this. A Polish man in Bangkok was arrested for spanking a Thai woman in a convenience store, claiming he didn't know his actions were illegal. What? The incident occurred on January 12th when the man approached the woman and spanked her forcefully, leaving her embarrassed and prompting her to file a police complaint. Good for you. Despite being summoned, he dismissed the accusations, citing similar actions in nightclubs without issues. What is wrong with this guy? Police arrested him on January 14th, charging him under Section 278 for sexual assault, which carries penalties of up to 10 years in prison or a 200,000 baht fine. The victim seeks an apology and prevention of future incidents. What, dude? He just walks right in, just, like, not even a word, not even a hey, how you doing? Just quick smack on the butt, and he's like, "What? I do it all the time." What are you talking about, dude? Talk about digging yourself a deeper hole. But yeah, absolutely disgusting behavior. And you know, so many, like, this is like the Me Too movement, things like that. So many girls might just be like, pig, like disgusting, and just like walk it off. Pretty proud of this girl for actually taking it up with the police and trying to push this further to curb this behavior, because apparently he's been getting away with it a lot, as he admitted himself. So he's like, what are you talking about? I do that all the time in the nightclubs. Also, this is not a nightclub. It's a random 7-Eleven. This isn't some girl you've been chatting up or whatever. So, yeah. Ew. I don't know if, yeah, he'll be fined 50K on his way out. It says in the comments, is that Naman? I always forget your name. I can't read Thai. But, yeah. We'll see if it's just a slap on the wrist or if there will be something more. You know, we report a lot of these stories, and you know, I would like to hear more follow-ups on what the actual punishments are for the people that do get arrested. But hey, some consequences are better than none, I say. All right, on to our next story. I got some happy news. Look, we've been talking a lot about the Chinese and how nervous they are to travel to Thailand in the wake of these kidnapping stories, which have been rearing their ugly heads. Apparently, Bangkok still tops Agoda's list for a travel New Year destination. So, Bangkok has claimed the top spot for Chinese New Year celebrations, attracting both Thai and foreign tourists, according to Agoda. The city saw a surge in accommodation searches, with foreign interest raising 70% year over year. Pattaya, Chiang Mai, and emerging destinations like Khon Kaen also saw significant increases, with Khon Kaen searches skyrocketing by nearly 3,000%. Malaysians led foreign traveler searches, followed by Chinese and South Koreans. Meanwhile, Tokyo remains the favorite international destination for Thai tourists, followed by Seoul and Osaka, highlighting shifting travel trends. Hey, nice. All right, cool. Nice. That's good news. Now, of course, Chinese still heavily searching it. I wonder if they're like deals now. If prices have gone down in the wake of all of that news to make it more attractive for Chinese tourists. But Malaysia, that's the big news to me. All of these countries, they have a lot of Chinese influence, ethnicity. Obviously, China does, and they get a lot of time off for Chinese New Year. So now's the time to get out and about and go see the world. And Thailand is a very beautiful, lovely destination that also, Thailand, what I love about Thailand is that they celebrate pretty much everybody's holidays, right? You'll see all sorts of decorations for the Year of the Snake coming up in the malls and the shopping centers. And that's one of the fun parts about it is how into it the festive seasons that Thailand gets. It makes it very welcoming for people to come from those cultures that celebrate them. They get the time off for that holiday, but if you go over to Europe or whatever, you're not going to see much of that spirit there. Here in Thailand, you're going to get a whole lot of it. So that's fun and exciting, and I'm glad to see that Bangkok is still so interesting to so many of our neighbors as a tourist destination. All right, moving on. We're done with our Thailand section of the news, everybody. We're heading off to the rest of the greater ASEAN region and a little bit beyond, actually. But our first stop is in ASEAN, where we head to Indonesia, as we have some economic news. Indonesia is cutting interest rates in order to boost economic growth. Bank Indonesia, or BI, surprised markets by cutting its benchmark interest rate by 25 basis points to 5.75%, the lowest in over a year to support growth amid signs of economic slowdown. This marks the central bank's first rate cut since September, despite pressure on the rupiah, which fell to a 6-month low of 16,335 per dollar. BI Governor Perry Warjio cited weaker than expected Q4 growth and a stable inflation outlook as key factors behind the move. While the rate cut aims to stimulate Southeast Asia's largest economy, concerns remain about the rupiah's stability amid global monetary uncertainties. I wonder if they're wishing they took that Apple money now or something like that. So they are obviously still engaged in that bitter debate with Apple about how much investment will come in. That would have created a lot of jobs, and a lot of people would be buying iPhones. Just saying, but I also don't know. Look, I'm not an expert on the Indonesian economy. The point is, when interest rates are cut, that makes it easier to borrow money and do things like buy homes, right? So that becomes more attractive for foreign investors as well, where it becomes cheaper to borrow money in the country. We'll see. Hopefully that can get everything back on track. But Indonesia is a very big country, and it's a slow-moving boat when it comes to these corrections. So time will have to tell. All right. So on to our next story. I don't know. Okay. Airplanes. Been a lot of controversy around airplanes lately, to say the least. There's been a lot of crashes around the world, a lot of malfunctions that are making people nervous. Well, over in Vietnam now, they are considering welcoming Chinese COMAC aircraft. Well, Vietnam is considering removing regulatory barriers allowing Chinese state-owned COMAC aircraft to operate in the country, signaling potential expansion for the plane manufacturer beyond China. Deputy Prime Minister Tien Hong Ha tasked the Transport Ministry with reviewing regulations after a meeting with COMAC's board director. While COMAC seeks to rival Airbus and Boeing, its aircraft, like the C919 and C909, lack EU and US certifications, limiting international adoption. Vietjet, Vietnam's leading private airline, may collaborate with a Chinese airline to test COMAC planes on select routes as part of initial steps. Well, I don't know. Well, yes, it kind of depends on the track record, right? So, because it's lacking US and EU certifications, by the way, why might that happen? Well, Boeing is American and Airbus is French, and they pretty much have a duopoly on the entire industry. So, it makes sense that they might be protective of that. But at the same time, are cheaper aircraft going to allow cheaper flights, safety concerns? I don't know. There's a lot to weigh here, but it would make sense for a country like Vietnam that balances that diplomatic tightrope between China and Western countries, that they might take a swing at this and see if these aircraft are up to snuff and meet their standards. And then the dominoes might fall. This happened with tons of products, right? Like electric cars. China's now dominating several markets on that. Could be airplanes next. I guess we'll see. All right, moving on. Our next story, scary stuff coming out of Japan, or at least some scientific studies, are raising the odds of a devastating Nankai Trough Megaquake. So Japan's Earthquake Research Committee has raised the probability of a megaquake along the Nankai Trough in the next 30 years from lower to 75, almost 82%, up from 74 to 81%. Such an 8 to 9 magnitude earthquake could trigger massive tsunamis, potentially displacing up to 9.5 million people and causing widespread destruction. The Nankai Trough, an undersea trench where tectonic plates collide, last experienced a megaquake in 1946. The likelihood increases yearly by about 1%, with densely populated areas at risk of catastrophic waves within minutes. Past events include the devastating 1707 quake, which ruptured all segments of the trough and triggered Mount Fuji's last eruption. Well, that's horrifying. And this is one of those things, like, I don't know how you even prepare for this, right? It's just sort of like, kind of like the LA wildfires. We're like, hey, guys, this horrible tragedy is inevitable. Just letting you know. Yeah, how do you reconcile it? How do you move these people? Do you build walls, seawalls? I don't know how you can prepare for it, because it's not just the quake itself that could have devastating effects on the buildings that, of course, Japan prepares for, but also the tsunamis, which obviously did horrendous damage a little more than 10 years ago, and, of course, led to the nuclear reactor meltdown in Fukushima. I don't know. So hopefully the experts are not just telling us, hey, the likelihood of us all, Armageddon coming, but can also provide some answers about how to prepare for it in order to mitigate the damage that it might cause. All right, our final story, talking about hitting the skies. India has achieved a historic space docking milestone. So India has become the 4th country to achieve an unmanned space docking, marking a major milestone in its space program. The space docking experiment, or SPADEX, fun name, involved two 220-kilogram spacecraft, Target and Chaser, launched on December 30th, 2024, which successfully docked in low Earth orbit on January 18th. This technology is vital for satellite servicing, multi-launch missions, and future manned space endeavors like India's planned moon missions and space station by 2035. The achievement follows India's Chandrayaan-3 success in 2023 and its ambitious plans to send astronauts to the moon by 2040 and explore Venus by 2028. I love this stuff. I'm a big space race fan. I think this is like exactly what we should be spending all of our money developing technology for. Obviously, India has a lot of problems with poverty and things like that. But at the same time, I would rather see this money being sent into scientific endeavors like space exploration compared to, being poured into missiles and bombs and things that are just used to, hurt people. So this kind of stuff has very impactful effects on our greater society. I mean, just think about the amount of technology that's come out of NASA that has ended up being used by consumers. So this stuff does have a real world effect eventually with the cutting edge technology that is produced. So congratulations, India, on the milestone in your space exploration program, and good fortunes for all of your future endeavors. All right. Well, guys, that'll do it. Let me wrap up the show, then I'll get into the comments. Guys, thank you for joining us today on this Friday edition of Good Morning Thailand. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done that already. Also, go to thetiger.com throughout the day for more news updates from around the land of smiles. And if you want to continue the conversation, please head to ASEANnow.com, where you can sign up for an account with Thailand's largest expat forum and rapidly growing around the region. For now, have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you on Monday, and let me get into the comments.